Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 112, Wednesday, 6th of March, 2024. Uh, Today is election day in Belize for City Council and Town Boards. And as a result, the two panelists, the two other panelists that normally would grace our show are not available with us tonight. So I'll use the backup plan for tonight. We'll go ahead and improvise a little, and we'll include some electioneering information, and we'll just follow the same pattern of our show. First thing I'll do tonight is identify myself as Leonard Brackett. I'm one of the panelists on the show, and I'll be your temporary chairman for tonight, because our chairman is actually running for the mayorship of the twin city of San Ignacio and Santa Elena. And he will be involved with that process until after the counting, and probably will be tired by then. So I'll hang in there and do the best I can. Normally we start with a prayer, so I'll just ask that you allow me the privilege to bow my head and say a short prayer, after which I'll do the reading. Divine loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth and all that in them are, into thy hands and commend ourselves, my country of Belize, its people and its leadership, this country of the United States, its people and its leadership, my family members, each and every one of them, thou knowest them by name and number, my friends, my extended family, and the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in harm's way and are being hurt, sometimes for no justifiable reason. Please continue to be merciful unto us all. Give us health, strength, courage, endurance, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and perseverance to endure the travails that we have to undergo while existing in this sinful earth. Please continue to guide and bless us, for we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll just go ahead and do the reading. We'll take a short reading from the book of Proverbs, and we'll read Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1 and 2. Reads as follows: a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Verse 2, the tongue of the wise useth knowledge, all right, but the mouth of the fools poureth out foolishness. And that is our reading for tonight from the book of Proverbs. And our engineer for tonight is not available as well. There's, as I said earlier, Belizean electioneering going on, and people are involved at different levels. Okay. Let me check and make sure that my mic is operating correctly. Okay, so we're back. I have here a short one. Yeah, there it is. I can't get it. I can't pull it up, so I'll have to go to a different location to pull it up. Just a minute, please. Bear with me. Okay, this one. Here we go. I wrote a small little article on February 21st of this year, and I proceeded to say too many Belizeans are more interested in the well being and protection of treasonous politicians and treacherous parties than in the well being and protection of their patrimony or country, Belize. I had a commentary from Ms. Delmarie Fuller Fairweather on this particular article, and she went on to say, we do need to look backwards to know, appreciate, and learn lessons from our past history, such as the importance of peaceful and intelligent leaders to lead us forward, the importance of a strong nuclear God fearing family, the importance of having a high literacy rate, how wasteful spending by hands out have enabled our people, the damage caused by polarization due to political tribalism, the jump up and good times mentality, the effect of alcoholism on our people's ability to get and keep a job, the decay in the moral fabric where lots of men have multiple homes and families, the effect of removing religious education and discipline from our society, reflecting back on our past has some merits, but only if we admit what was right and what we do not want to repeat. She went on to say, more importantly, Belizeans both at home and abroad must look to the future. We must have a plan that includes embracing the skills, knowledge, and resources of the diaspora and those studying abroad and returning home so that as we earn, enter this new era of AI, meaning artificial intelligence, which will affect our job market, that we are prepared and are able to get jobs and survive and succeed. She also went on to say, where are the Belizeans returning to share their skills in trades? For every district, we need to open and staff trade schools, medical teaching hospitals, agriculture and technology schools. Remember, Belize Technical College, of which I was a graduate from, Belize Nursing School, which was next door to Technical College, and Lanham Agriculture School, which was in the Sandpit Valley. This is the this is the looking back we need to do. Ask ourselves what will come out of these schools. That was question number one that she asked, and I can answer that one in the affirmative to say that I was a product of one of those schools, the Belize Technical College. She asked another question, question number two. Why did so many trained persons leave the country? A lot of people in the Belize stipulate that the reason why people leave the country is because they just want to go to greener pastures and they're not patriotic nor do they care about their country. But I can tell you that many of these people who went abroad and studied abroad went home only to get marginalized because they did not belong to the correct political party that was in power at the time. And as a result, they end up having to come to the States or to Jamaica or Cayman or England or wherever they were able to go in order to further their career, make some money to pay back their loans for their degrees that they went to study abroad for, and be able to help their family at home. But a lot of Belizeans sit at home and they criticize the Belizeans that leave, that go abroad, and they pretend like they don't understand or see or know what's really going on. And the politicians, they play with that as a divide and conquer tool, because they also finagle with our laws and dispossess and disenfranchise born Belizeans who are not at home from being able to participate in anything that has to do with the homeland. And the only thing they appreciate is the remittance that these individuals send back to their families, their friends, and others. I recall recently the Prime Minister got up and said that if it wasn't because of the Belizeans abroad during the COVID, who in 1 year alone had sent over over $300 million to help the country and its people, that a lot of people would not have had anything to eat, and a lot of people would have suffered a lot more. I want to correct the Prime Minister, because he have a penchant for making statements without consulting the Statistical Institute of Belize and or any of his sources where people can give him the correct information. He just speak to these things sometimes and shoot from his hip or his lips. The truth of the matter is that Belizeans abroad have been sending home more than the 300 million that he is talking about. Because that 300 million, when you double it in Belize dollars, it's over 600 million. In addition to all the extra money that people take with them when they go home, that is not counted, money that people transmit in their bank to cover for their taxes and or for their purchases of land and or for other contractors back home to build their houses, and for many other economic contacts that the Belizeans abroad have with their home and their family and the country. The Prime Minister did not include that or mention that. Nor did he mention about the amount of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of material that people from abroad send boxes and barrels and all kind of other means and take stuff, suitcase full of stuff when they come from abroad to go home and visit family members. All of that is a contribution to the economy and the development and sustenance of the country. But the Prime Minister did not venture into all of that. He was willing to give some kudos for what his records probably show in his own financial analysis there in his office, because as Minister of Finance, he should have enough information to know what he was saying was just partial. But nevertheless, he was willing to give some kudos to some of the people who made the effort to try and be helpful. They would not have been able to do that or make that effort as they have been doing, not only during the COVID, but all year round for decades on top of decades on top of decades. As in my case, almost 50 years. Okay? And I know others who are out here longer than that and who constantly go back to Belize and who are involved with their country. But yet, we are supposed to be looked on as people who don't care about the country, people who abandon the country, people who don't care about our family members. They complain about some of the people who leave their kids behind there with their grandparents and they come out here. Yes, indeed, there are some who come out here and they don't have maybe any skills, or maybe they can't get a job, or maybe they're just party people, right? They don't care about getting a job and helping themselves or helping others. There are people like that, but you can't paint all of us with the same brush. That's unfair and unkind. There are many out there, the bus we bought, and we have been believing it, like I said, for decades, without nobody ask or without nobody instruct us or tell us. So we ought not to be painted with the brush of those who don't care about the country. But I'll stop for a second because I see one of our other panelists already in the background on the show, and I need to welcome Mr. Gregory Brackett, our next panelist on the show, and have him identify himself before I continue with what I was saying. Brackett?
Thank you, sir. Good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. and thank you for tuning in to this 112th episode of Belizean Affairs. As you were rightfully saying, you know, changes can only come if the people want it to come. I
Mm-hmm.
had the opportunity today to tour some of the polling stations, and I can tell you, in certain areas, there is low turnout. And when you
Um,
have a low turnout,
Greg,
no,
would you mind
yes,
if I just finish up this little thing that I was doing and then we go into that, because that's going to be the
yes.
substantive part of the program for the rest of the night. I was just using this to
Okay,
fill
go
in.
ahead, sir.
Just let me finish up with this and then we take over the show and go right into that, for the whole rest of the
Go
night.
ahead, sir.
Sorry about that, sir. I'd just like to beg pardon to the audience as well, in that I did want it to finish up what I was already transmitting, and not to leave it or cut it off or truncate it and just leave it. Thank you very much,
Go
sir.
ahead, sir.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and finish read a little bit more of the article that Miss uh, Delmarie Fuller Fairweather had written, and I was very impressed with it, and therefore that's why I decided to use it for part of tonight's program. Um, she went on to say on item number 3, how can we keep our best and trained people at home? How can we attract those who left to return? As far as I'm concerned, there are a lot of us Belizeans who go abroad and we go back home. And we're lucky to be of the same party that is in power at the time, and therefore we get a job and we don't have to be knocking around for a long time without having an income or without helping our family members or having to depend on our parents, who probably are the ones that maybe took out a loan, mortgaged their house to send us abroad to go and study. And when we get home, then we don't have no job to help them pay back the loan. The bottom line is that some do go back home with their skills and become personal, self involved entrepreneurs and develop their one little thing on the side and make a living and succeed and survive. Kudos to them. And then there are those who the government, like I said, because probably they were well connected, uh, are showing appreciation for their efforts to go and study and learn whatever they learn and come back at home and help build the country. As a matter of fact, some of them are helped by the government to get some scholarships to go abroad, and they make commitments that when they finish their scholarship, they will come back home, and they do go back home. But then as they go back home and then the government change, you find that some of them end up with problems and they end up leaving and going abroad. I recall once Courtney was complaining that some of the students or people when they go abroad go study, especially nurses and other people, that the Canadian government offer them jobs before they finish study so that they don't have to go back home. And he was aggrieved about that. He don't remember, or those that those same people are the ones that are sending their remittance home to help the economy and the budget of the country for foreign exchange. Because there were many years when Belize wasn't producing um, goods enough to have a proper foreign exchange, and the central bank was telling people that you have to apply to get foreign exchange, and you couldn't take out so much money, or you couldn't use so much money to send abroad to go buy goods or whatever. And as a result, you know, the country was going through stagnation in a cycle. The PUP had problems before the UDP took over. The UDP had problems after they took over. The PUP had problems after, and in a constant cycle. But nevertheless, I want to finish this up quickly and just get out of it now. She went on to say, AI, which refers to artificial intelligence, cannot replace these trades and agricultural jobs, but will replace most of the call centers jobs, banking jobs, administrative jobs, shopkeeper jobs in the future. Where are the visionaries for the future to prepare and create jobs and new food sectors such as cocoon oil and others? As I look up the definition of patrimony, I wondered what good is it to have uh, ancestral land and customs if we do not use it, if we abandon it to be taken over by high bush and sell it to foreigners. When we run short of funds, that goes, what good is it to fight over land? Are we going to sit on that land, lying in a hammock under a coconut tree next to our dream, next to our dream house, and have no way that land is given back to us with positive and active incomes? She went on quite a bit more, but I would like to truncate some of it because, like I said, it's a nice article, it's a lengthy article, but as I earlier stated when I started the program, today is election day back home, and we need to get into the other part of the program in terms of dealing with the current events or current affairs. So I'll just read the last paragraph that she had in that. I'll skip all the other ones and I'll just read this last one. I do not want to see another YouTube video on politicians and followers walking the streets in paradise with jump up music and alcohol in hand when we need weekly town hall meetings to hear how they will accomplish their plan. And I think that's like I said, a very eloquent and needed review to keep us, sensitized to what was, what is, and what could be. Thank you very much for taking the time to hear me out on that. I'll turn over back to Greg to let him pursue what he was about to say earlier. No? Thank you very much, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What is happening there is, particularly in one province of Canada, they're offering scholarships to Belizeans. And virtually every single Belizean who goes there is offered a job before they finish. Canada and other developed countries have been recruiting nurses, teachers, police officers from across the developing world, specifically the Caribbean, including Belize. And it is contributing to our brain drain. So that is something that I have raised with Taiwan, and that is something we intend to raise with Canada as well, because they clearly have a...
Just to contribute to what you said, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir.
The truth of the matter is government is contributing to the brain dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing this when they are only interested in wealthy foreign investors. When you are not getting together and creating jobs with private sector, but want to call jobs from private entities like BPOs, creation of jobs, you're totally speaking out of context. Because the truth of the matter is, this is the cause to why Belize is becoming brain
At
dead.
the event we are having here in Orange Walk in the People's Stadium today.
Hi, good morning. I'm Diana Locke from IOM, and today IOM, in partnership with the government and Social Security and the foreign embassies, will be here offering identity, information, and integration. We're doing an integration hub. So basically what that means, we're bringing all the services from government that leads to an identity document. We're also bringing Social Security on board with us. The Labor Department will be providing information on what job opportunities are available in this area. We also have the Embassy of Honduras here with us today. They have foreign nationals who had applied for birth certificates or for national IDs, and they will be distributing those to their nationals today. We also have photograph services in the event anybody needs a service and requires a photograph. We also have Social Security. They'll be providing appointments and assisting people in making their preparation for their documents, for their Social Security documents. The immigration.
Sir, when the government is doing this and you are not bringing in individuals who are educated, but who is going to be lodging on the government for everything as regular Belizeans who are already in poverty in the south side. How can you not be contributing to bring this? What does these
Unconscionable.
people have to offer? Are there any doctors? Are there any masonries? Are there any individual amongst those people who will contribute to the economical structure of Belize as the slaves has contributed to great America? These are some of the things that government needs to look at. Right now, as I was saying before, we are in election mode for Belize. And I can tell you because of the turnout that the people are not really interested in the municipal election. And what that is simply saying, I'm saying that people who stay at home and don't come out to cast their vote for the democracy is simply saying we don't care or it doesn't make a difference. Both parties will do the same thing. And I take this as a meaning to say one of two things. The opposition party and third party are not ready, or it has to do with not being able to back your political party financially. These are the cause of why some parties lose elections. Um, I'm saying this because we have such a low turnout in some areas, and when you have a low turnout, it tends to favor the party in power.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have to look and see what will happen in certain areas. There are at least four areas that I'm thinking about, which is PG, Coruscant, San Pedro. We have to look and see what will happen. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Um, as regards to the tape you played a little earlier, I'll come back to the point that you was on just now. But as regards to the tape that you played a little earlier, all that is showing is the level of treachery on behalf of the people that we have governing our country. Because they keep telling us that we need to get a new identity. And they are not just telling us that we need to get one, they are fostering one on us. They are forcing us with the powers that we invest in them as our governance people. They're taking those powers and violating the spirit and the intent of the Constitution and violating our own ability to be able to make the best use of our patrimony. And they're enabling others to have the privilege to enjoy our patrimony more than we, the local born Belizean people. Because as you hear what the lady said just now, then they provide them with documentations, facilitating them with processing the documents them in 1 day process. So nobody have to go, like the Belize people have to go the vital statistics 1 day, all day, and they can't get everything that they need from there. They have to go to a passport office over and over before they give them a chance to get taken care of. As in the case of my daughter, it took her a year and a half, almost 2 years, before she could have gotten a renewed passport. All the documents were already available and in the files of the government. And I still had to take her from the States to Belize to go and get free documents processed because the people in Los Angeles were not even returning our calls, much less trying to provide us any services. All because I tell my daughter not to appear in the Mordida with them they asking for. So they decide to sit down for we document and be disdainful and disrespectful towards us and dismiss us. I had to go to Belize, get a temporary passport for my daughter in order for her to travel to Belize to go and get the final passport. But here you got these jackals selling out we birthright. Well, not selling it out, giving away for we birthright to people who the Constitution says we're not supposed to be entertaining that type of actions. And these people are getting most of what they're getting free. They're not paying for it. They're being facilitated. Why? The Prime Minister had said before that they weren't trying to help these people do all these things in a hurry because of election, because the election not due until next year. But they were facilitating them in order to get their stuff ready and available for this year. Because quite a few of them were registered to vote in different districts, in different towns, and in different town boards and cities. I could say for a certainty that our country is being taken away from us right from under our face, right from under our nose. We're being marginalized, and people are satisfied to go and collect them $50 today. They couldn't wait till they come. Collect them $50 today, then couple beer, and then plate of food, and enjoy the new music until the next election time come wrong. What kind of idiots have we been turned into that we were satisfied with that while we grant these people our powers for them to discriminate against us, for them to marginalize us? After the election, they don't want to see us. You can't go down on the office, go ask for no help. For the poorer people, they don't really need some help. And normally, in old days, they could go ask for some help. I remember one time, Mr. I think that David, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. David Fonseca, when he was the mayor of Belize, he used to have a stipend where when people come in and ask for help, he would call the person, his secretary, and let his secretary check the person so that the person will get one small voucher, for change, for money, so they could go buy some food or get whatever whatever the emergency situation was at the time. I don't know if they even have that anymore nowadays. People they out there need to eat food because the election may come, they start run around and give people a pantry. When in fact the people that need the pantry every day, every week, they need to eat. And now the people out there, they run on in a sun hat, they go vote them right back in a power again until the next election. So the people when they get to eat on election day, apparently, according to them, and the people are satisfied. Gregory, I'll yield back the floor, sir. I was supposed to comment on the part where we mentioned. Okay,
right,
go ahead.
It is true on what you are saying, because when you talk about bringing in people and none is contributing to your economy, that is crazy. When you talk about giving away tax concessions, and then again you are waiving tax to people coming into the northern border, specifically Mexican, which is $40 per person.
They don't care about Belizeans.
But yet you are making laws that will penalize grandparents and grandfathers. You are willing to take away properties from elderly if they can't pay their taxes. So, as I said, government has to do with all of that. Right now, the IMF is specifying in certain areas why Belize cannot survive economically. But then again, they get all these foreign aid and in return, they are not put it into the country in private sector and little business to help them. In fact, they are the cause of why businesses are closing down because they
Yeah.
cannot compete.
Listen, we've shown you the record work of the PUP. Free education for secondary schools, land in people's hands, many of them first-time owners, housing across the country for deserving Belizeans, new schools, health.
I pray that the same, Mr. Brackett,
Lies on top of lies.
is being played under false pretense because
Mm.
let's listen to the finance officer.
The IMF tries to have as broad a consultation as possible as it goes through its Article 4 process in order to put together its concluding statement. That concluding statement provides insight as to how the economy is performing, how the government is doing, how the financial sector is doing, and what they see is likely to occur in the future. So it's important to become as informed as possible from as many stakeholders in the economy as possible. It's unfortunate that meeting did not happen so that the NTUCB could give their views and opinions, but nonetheless, the work has to go on, and ultimately the IMF will produce their report.
Go ahead, sir.
The teachers, they never get a chance to give the information because they block them out from doing so. They never want that information get out to the IMF, so the IMF know how treacherous and messed up minded they are. Okay? They want to manage the country only for themselves, their cronies, and their friends, and their family members. And mostly for Mr. Ashcroft. Because if they could have helped Mr. Ashcroft get so many hundreds of millions of dollars out of the country in such a short space of time, that puts them in a situation where they didn't have the money to pay the teachers them and pay other people or help the country do what they need to do. If they were really serious about managing for the country on our behalf, then could put the man payment on a schedule. And eventually, then could end up paying off and add some additional interest to make the man feel all right, that at least you know you can get paid as compared to before when he never show you can get paid, that you know you can get paid and you can get all the extra interest. And in the meantime, we don't have to give up all our money and stay at the suck with finger. At least we could do some work. We could put a couple million aside for additional poverty alleviation. We put another couple million aside for additional housing. Most of the housing that went in the bill, I don't see no people on south side, the Black Creole people from south side or Garifuna people, they get in their houses. But then they build the houses there and then they give most of their houses there to the refugee people then. That then they get some money from the international organizations to accommodate the refugees them in a free country. But they're not getting all the money that those people are costing our budget. So free budget still will supplement some of these people's activity. Because then all these people come in and have a job right away. We the Belizean not have a job right away. But what happens is that most of the time, these other people get the jobs, but we Belizean people don't get none. Most of the big cement houses we used to build around the city right now, all those office buildings and those hotels and those commercial entities are being built from people that come from across the border. They work cheaper, they work harder, and then go and bring and recruit brothers, sisters, uncles, cousins, aunts, and everybody else in support of those projects. While the Belizean sits at home, are not offered any job, when they go apply, they turn around in a circles. They need jobs too, so that they could afford to take care of their families. But the government is not interested in looking into those issues or trying to facilitate those individuals. Then facilitate who they want, when they want, and for what reasons they want. But anyhow, I'll yield back again. Greg.
Rightfully said, I really and truly believe that, while infrastructure is needed, you must use open tenure and you must share it around the Belizean people. Because when you do not do that, you run into problems like we have on the new Halover Bridge. When you hire these contractors without oversight, you end up with problems that has happened with the Halover Bridge. Likewise, the pumping station you put in the Arbor section where they actually, did not complete it in the right way, and one of these pumps were turned in the opposite direction. And I'm saying this to say that, you know, all these are not even long-term jobs. These are short-term jobs, as we can specify past and present government has never created long-term jobs. But then again, when you penalize the very person who is keeping the economy afloat, for instance, in the teacher position, who also take from their pay to help to felicitate these kids who have nothing, sometimes no lunch money, no school supplies, where you government is not doing that, then you cannot just go out and say that teachers are not doing what they're supposed to do and they are not giving back enough, because I find that very offensive
Mismanagement.
for you to say that, you know.
Mismanagement.
And
Greg.
here is something of that sort.
Some of them are not, well, how I would put it, might not be popular, but they're frank. And what we certainly have noted, and this is consistent with other assessments that have been done, is for example, in the case of education, Belize as a country spends a high percentage of its total public expenditures on education, but we're not getting the results. Consistent with the findings of the Millennium Challenge Corporation, what we're seeing.
No, you and I
He's
know for a
talking
fact
baloney.
that is not true. Because if that was true, most of these schools does not have the resources for these children. If that was so, teachers would not have to go in their pocket. And I know this for a fact. So when he speaks about
Sorry.
that, it's ludicrous. Go ahead, sir.
What Mr. Koyi is talking about, he's piggybacking on an observation or a statement that the people of the IMF made. But those people don't know that the government is the one that's responsible for providing the environment for proper education of our students, to provide the teachers them with a bona fide pay salary that they can be happy about and that they can meet their needs and be in a position mentally as well as physically and educationally to do the job to enhance our children's educational prospects. A lot of these kids go to school and they come from homes that don't have the ability to provide for them. They have to attend school because it's mandatory or required. But some of them are at school and their mind is not in school because their stomach is growling because they're hungry. They're not getting fed, much less being fed adequately in order to learn appropriately. All these little intricacies and things, they're not bothered about, but they affect the learning capability of the students. No, I'm not going to say that all the students are like that, because you have students that are coming from the middle class families, like Mr. Koi's families, them, okay, who are well taken care of, who come from a middle class sector of the population, that are well entrenched in government and have high salaries, and they occupy a lot of different positions in government. Besides, as lawyers and as accountants, they have a lot of other different prospects and possibilities. Money they get make for them on the side at their regular business, without them even having to be involved. And they get all kind of perks from the government. So they could talk and lie and say all the fancy things they want to say and besmirch the teachers them. But for those of us who know what the facts are, because we follow these things, we need to speak up and speak out about these things and point out when these guys are trying to play fast and loose with the facts. Because he damn well know, as the person who, as the Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, how they've been stiffing the teachers then. As a matter of fact, he was part of the group that put together that 10% discount from the teachers then. And as you said earlier, some of these teachers, they use their money to help other students in their class when they see the struggle, because they see they come from poor families, and they know some of the kids that they suffer. Sometimes some of the kids, they know they eat. The teachers then go buy tacos and buy different things during lunchtime and so forget the kids them they eat. If it wasn't because of some of these teachers, some of them couldn't get no food probably for the day. At least for the hours that they're in school. Because they come to school with an empty belly, they don't bring no lunch, they don't have no money, their parents can't give them no money. And by the time they go home, sometimes the parents still don't have nothing for them. That's why we have some of the kids that run around the streets here, there, and everywhere. They try to make a living or hustle or get themselves involved in activities that they're not supposed to be involved with. The society is getting, man, I can shut up and leave it. I pass over again to you, Greg. These fools, they act like they don't know where they're going, but they're the grandstand.
But I believe the philosophy of the Belizean voter is, right now we are going through municipal elections, and we have the city council doing road repairs and infrastructure repairs. Now, as an intellectual individual, I would think that to bring in a new city council to try to finish what is happening, in my view, would be ludicrous. I believe when it comes to politics and election, may it be municipal or general, I think the Belizean people tend to give a government a chance to let them see what they will accomplish, and that has to do with even taking the BS for that 5 years. But come the end of that 5 years, that is when I believe the electors really put their foot down and say, well, you know what? We have given you this 5 years and we wanted to see your accomplishment. And I believe that is what will happen in this municipal election. Because I think even though we speak about changes and things that the government is not doing or is doing, I believe when you have a government in place that is at this time doing infrastructure, you need to let them complete that infrastructure. So, and with that said, I think I would want to see what will happen by the next general election. I pass it back to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. My concern is the priorities are not aligned for good governance. Or, putting it in another way, good governance should have an aligned priority, whereby, like the present government, when they were in opposition, was saying to the previous government that people can't eat streets. I don't know if they don't realize that people are suffering seriously in the country. They may not be suffering because, like I said, most of them have resources to come to them from multiple sources or multiple areas or multiple endeavors, besides the regular paycheck. When the gas go up, the prime minister get more money than if he go down, because he own all companies. When the internet prices then go up, he make more money because he got internet company. If he get regular salary, if he get perks, he have lands, he have cane, he have a lot of other properties. And most of the other, as a matter of fact, the man is a multi-millionaire personally, okay, to start with. So then guys, they can't understand what poor people they go through normally. They prefer to go hang around and hobnob with their friend, to go drink my what I call it? Shucks. Okay, they go hang out and drink the liquor or whatever is it that they drink, right? And hobnob and have fun. And that for them pastime. For them pastime, they know anything outside the government, when they know they do the correct proper administration of government. I wish them guys, I mean, they're in a situation where unless they really do proper governance, that they could be held accountable, because we'll end up having better governance and we'll all be much happier. But the people are so used to being bamboozled. We're so used to looking after our political parties and the political leaders them with more commitment to them than they have to us, or than we have to our one country as a whole. I wish we would be these people that have the sense of realizing that if they only make changes here, there, and everywhere. And as a matter of fact, part of the problem in the country is that we have only two mass parties, or two credible entities that could run the country, either one or the other. And all these jackals are doing to us is taking turns on us. And they both operate with the same kind of mindset and treat the people the same kind of disdainful way. And people are happy to go and vote them in or vote them out. Today, we are having this discussion. While I think about right now, people still probably the count votes. And the majority of the winners are going to be one or out of the two major parties. And the same thing will happen when it comes to the next general election. The Prime Minister put aside $50 million for infrastructure work, right? Not for the villages them, for the town boards them, and the city council them. To get work done, to make them could show up right now that the election is going on today, so that then people could see that something was happening and they could feel happy about what was happening. While they were being starved for the last 3 years. Now, after when this, okay, make a finish with the numbers. He set aside 50 million in the infrastructure thing as part of the campaigning effort. And then spend at least another $15 million in each of the different divisions them that are adjacent or are part of the different cities or towns for the electioneering purpose. So for all intents and purpose, you could say at least a good $65 to $75 million is being spent in electioneering. You know how far that $55 million could have gone to alleviate poverty in the country? Or to do some of the things that the people are really needing in the country, or to provide jobs to some of the people, even if they're not long-term jobs, like what you said, Greg, even if it's a short-term job, at least make people feel good that then they earn their own keeps, or then they make a living for themselves, or to help themselves and their family members, or pay their rent, or pay their light bill, or pay their water bill, or do whatever they want to do with their money. Just get them a chance to earn it. But these jackals are in office and they're getting paid and they're hustling on the side and they got money to come out in years. Most of them, they go into politics without two nickel in their back pocket for rub. And if they win one general election and they become part of the cabinet, most of them become millionaire in short order. In fact, some of them become multi-millionaire. All these guys are interested in is peace in the country. And the people then go right along with the process. Go do them jump up. They go eat their food, plate of food. Tonight, yeah, you watch it. Tonight, after the election done declaring at different districts then or different jurisdictions, everybody on the out to celebrate. Talk to them tomorrow morning and ask them how the future looks to them. Or how better off are they then before they go vote, or how better off they expect to be after they finish the vote. There's no prospects. It's just an immediate gratification and satisfaction if you know, okay, well, they collect only money from the man, and they forget to remember that the leave money when they collect from the man, then they own money where the man's supposed to be getting from before, and more often they help them out because they own government money that is supposed to be set aside to give to the constituencies then. They make the constituencies then feel like, well, then they do them a favor. That they own government tax money, you know, they come out another in their pocket. But then I'll turn back on to you, turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, Greg.
Well, we will have this situation when, as I've said on many shows, that we are living in a design system that is keeping the people domesticated. It is designed to keep you in poverty for these times. When
it's not by mistake. It is not by mistake.
No, it's not by mistake, because this is how past and present government win elections. They keep you in poverty. You have to go to them to ask them to help you pay your bills and to seek handouts. So come election time, they will offer you handouts again to get your vote. And it will never seem to change until the people want to change it. And I'm saying this to say that I have also spoke about government not playing its role. There are three things that I always said that the government is not doing. The first one is protecting its territory. The second one is to bring peace and harmony in the community with law enforcement. And the third is to get with private sector and create jobs. We know they are not doing that, which is the most highly important one, because the government is not putting enough or barely anything into private sector to help small businesses to get out of the slum. The small businesses are being closed, they are failing economically because other entities, private entity like the Chinese store, is taking over the vast portion of the country. And this is not just coming from me.
And they're not paying taxes. So the government not got money to help pay their own bills.
Right. And that is not coming from me because, as I said, These people always tell on
Still on
themselves.
yourself.
Here we go. Listen to it, people.
The priority is that the government is seeing to see how we can channel investors-friendly environment where the private sector will be the one that will borrow the money and not the government. And so let the private sector be the one who will have access to finance so that they will continue to grow. Because remember that the private sector should be the one that drive the economy, should be the one that will help us to grow the economy, not the government. The government should be there to enable a friendly environment for investors. The government is not an entrepreneur, okay? And so we want to channel all these opportunities and great platform to the private sector so that we can continue to support and that the private sector will have a sustainable growth. And simply because the...
Great.
Go
Thank you
ahead,
for playing
sir.
that again. Thank you for playing that again. What this gentleman is talking about is the same nonsense that was done under the PUP government in the early 90s and under the PUP government in the 20s, the early 20s, by Mr. Musa, Mr. Price originally, and Mr. Musa secondly. When they turn around and sell off all the government assets, privatize it because the IMF told them that that's what they needed to do in order to raise funds rather than they borrow money from the IMF. And then swallow it. You know, not only did they dispossess the government of all its assets, they never sell the assets to them to recover or gain money to the country's treasury. Then credit the government assets to themselves and other cronies. Remember how they may get the port to Mr. Espat? Remember how they get the telephone company to Mr. Prosa? But the Prime Minister, Mr. Musa, at the time, tell us the man pay for the telephone thing, and we get to find out that the man pay with an IOU, while the man may take out all the profit out of the company and send it abroad. That's how these jackals rule. Then take the government printers, where they know we have to get the Gazette printed and let other government documents printed, and credit it to themselves. That they end up the one the government printers too. And they end up the one most of the government assets. Anything that was money making or that had money making capability, they aggregate onto themselves. So all the government had left was the ability to tax. And as of today, that's the same scenario. The only thing I have is the power of taxation, and that's why the gas keep going higher and higher. And all the other government services keep going higher and higher because they have to pay the wage bill. And they don't want to collect taxes from the people who owe it or where they're supposed to get it from. For example, like the big stores then prefer to take one political contribution on the side and make these big stores and these chain stores, then keep the GST money where it belongs to the government and where we the people pay, when they take away from we the people, under the guise that they give it to the government, and the government doesn't collect it, or at least the amount that they're supposed to collect, and then just let it slide. So they know they collect their regular GST taxes, where we the people they pay, and then they collect no taxes from them people who go hobnob with and make agreements to get 10 years, 15 years, 25 years tax-free, when they contribute no kind of taxes to the country. And they employ some of the people under duress or under almost slave labor situation. In fact, the government itself just took back the port from Ashcroft. And then they turn around and do the people the same thing what Ashcroft may do. Make it worse. Then put other individuals as a private board to run the government entity. And then they make these people and collect big salaries from the side, okay? Private individual, you know. Everything that they touch is a means of hustle for themselves, their cronies, or their family. We get back that port. The purpose of getting back that port should have been for the government to be able to make as much money off of that port to go in and with coffers so that they could reduce the gas and provide more services to the country. They could have probably given a little break for the high price for they charge right now for importing goods into the country, which is why the goods then cost so much. Because the people want to import the stuff into the country, they want to make for them profit one way or another. And who want to pay them profit there? The consumer, the person who have to go buy the goods. So if we had a government that was properly managed and managing the affairs of the country on behalf of the people, it shouldn't be too difficult for them to figure out how to make this thing work. But that's not their agenda nor their interest. Their interest is to figure out what is making money and how they could end up the squeeze to get some of it. Or to pass on to some of their friends or family so that they could get a little bit of it on the side. We do not have a real government in a country that is doing what's supposed to be done, and that's the problem. And we can't get that unless we have in place or some measure of accountability to bring pressure upon these people to make them realize that some of them going to jail or they are get disgorged or dispossessed of the things where they rape and pillage from the country and the people. But until we get to that level, we're doomed. Go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry about that.
Rightfully said, sir. I believe that private sector will not survive, and without the help of government, it makes it worse. Because as a private investor in small business, you go and you take out a loan or you mortgage your property to go into business with the high inflation, and you can't meet your monthly payment. You know what will happen to you?
You're going broke.
You will fall short and they will take over your property.
Worse than that, Greg.
That is
Greg,
one.
Greg, worse than that. The problem is that I recall you mentioned once that the government need to do a proper tax program.
Right.
Because if you
more
go and
than
you borrow
once.
some money, if you go and you borrow some money and work on business, I believe, you basically do work for the government. Because they want tax you at a high rate, plus you have to pay your license fees, you have to pay your social security contribution as an employer on behalf of the employees. You have to pay all these different things. And out of the little profit you make, if you make any profit, you still have to turn around and pay personal income tax. So basically, you do work for the government, which is why, unless people want to come with some big money, I believe, and set up a big concern where they can get so much years tax break that they don't want to contribute no tax to the government and that they want to be able to recover their money in short order. Most people can't come, I believe, and work no business and hope to survive. Too many have tried in the past and they come up against the same problem. That is that, in effect, at some point in time, the investment, if they never get no tax break, the investment become stagnant. And the economy and the country is so small and the economy is so slow and it doesn't turn up enough that a lot of people get caught in a situation where they take out loans and can't pay it back. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was about to say something when I was interjecting. Huh?
Yes, what I was about to say is I have spoken and more than once about we need a new tax code so that each and every businesses can pay their fair share of taxes. when you have a Panelists shop paying the same tax as a Chinese store, it makes
Crazy.
no sense at all. You charging them $700, and that's the same thing you charging the big store that is making far more money than them. They
Hmm.
don't have no employees. The big store have employees. You're running them out of business. You
Well,
need
that's
to
why all the
change
businesses
the
are closed down
control
now.
and come
Why
with
is
a new
Sophia's
tax
closing down?
reform.
Why is Batamdala closing down? Why is Sophia's closing down? And all the other stores them around. Brothers will soon close down
Because
too.
they cannot stay in a competition. You know, they are being run to the ground. They cannot compete. And that
Mhm.
is what is happening with the chain of Chinese stores. When the small business buy two sacks of flour and set a price, the larger Chinese store can buy 100 and undersell the little small store.
Yep.
Then when it runs out, they raise their prices. You
They
know,
raise their prices and
so
then reduce their weight. When you say they
right.
buy 1 pound or 2 pound or 3 pound or 4 or 5 pound, you're always short of a few ounces. And that's deliberate. It's not by accident.
I believe
Greg,
in order
Greg,
for countries.
Greg, a quick
Yes,
question. A quick question. How much is the sugar right now? From what you could tell? How
the
much a pound for
sugar
sugar right now?
is the sugar is 185 a pound.
Didn't they say man be 160? And wasn't it like less than $1 before then when they had the emergency? The whole long this emergency will last, and when is the sugar going to go back to its original price? You get my point now?
But
Remember
let
when we
me
talked
say
about that
this to you.
on our show before, and I said that that price that
In
the Prime Minister
certain
gonna
areas,
authorize them guys, no one come back down. That's why I asked you
in
that question.
certain areas, I believe it is certain areas as they are stipulated closer to the factory, different price order from the
It,
factory,
it shouldn't
which is
matter. The price should go
there's
back
no
down to the original
regulation.
price where it was before the crisis started. But they use the crisis to take advantage of the people now. And not just the cane farmers, and they take
There's
advantage.
no
Now they take advantage of the whole
there's
country.
no regulation.
And the
There's no
stupid prime
regulation,
minister
and I'm
will go
saying
ahead
this
and make any kind of deals with the
because
same people where they take chance away. Disgusting, man. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
there's no there's no regulation because the basic simple thing that the Belizean people use, and I know this for a fact. I mean things that are farm here in Belize like cassava and gum food and stuff like those. I
Hmm.
mean cocoa prices go to $8 a pound sometimes. Why are these so high when they are basic staple food? And it really
You call it,
annoys me
Greg, you
because
call it inflation. If these people are paying higher
but
gas price, if these people are paying higher price for everything whether they buy and what they need and whatever it's not, then everybody have to raise their price. And so therefore the
right,
inflation gets out of control.
but you know what? I cannot see through calling it inflation because then if the gas price is high and you are still to make your money, why is it then that when you go to the market sometimes these same basic food are rotting, not selling, but you don't want to drop your price? It doesn't make sense to me because I know for
Okay.
a fact when these
Greg,
people
Greg,
plant, they plant in
make us say this,
abundance.
make us say this for we
You know?
program, right? What I meant when I said about inflation is, for example, then same people will dig up the cassava or the cocoa or the whatever, or whatever they have on the farm and they bring down that tongue. When they plant the thing and then come down a tongue, they have to pay higher price for the transportation coming down, we can bring it, higher price for them go back up when they go home. When they want to buy something to carry home with them, they have to go pay how much for the sugar now? More than twice the amount now, right? As well as many other goods, right? In addition to clothes and whatever else not they normally would buy out of the money when they make. So everybody they not only try make or recover when they invest, then try to make one little extra. And every time the price go up higher, they have to make one little extra or a little bit more than what they made to make before. to cover the difference of the higher price what they have to pay for whatever they have to consume. So that is what inflation is all about. When we say we have one Belize dollar where value 2 for 1 American, they buy the equivalent of 2 for 1, the worth of value of the goods. Because the goods then they go up. So when the man give you that one change, raise a salary the last time we say and raise people price to $5, and that was so great by the one stroke of a pen, he take a lot of people out of poverty. No, you never take nobody out of poverty. What he did was to increase the salary of some people, and others who didn't get their salary increase by his stroke of pen have to increase their one for their stroke of their one pen, as what we just discussed just now. Then people who live on a farm, no, they get paid by nobody. The extra money where for his stroke of the pen increase in terms of salary, right? That's for the employees of various institutions. But then people have to survive anyhow. So for make them survive and for make them be able to pay the higher price for their transportation or their gas or whatever is it, if they drive a vehicle or the maintenance of their vehicle or the tires or whatever we're on tap on a vehicle, everything is higher in price. They have to charge higher too. And like I said, they don't only charge the higher to get back just the extra when they put out. They want to charge higher to get back extra profit for the extra money when they have to put out as well. And it ripples. It gets, it becomes a ripple effect. Everybody throughout the whole economy and we need to buy and sell from each other and you need each other's goods. And so everybody have to raise them price and the price never come back down. Now, if the smart head prime minister, Mr. Talented prime minister, never gone ahead and make that dastardly contract or agreement with the BSI ASR to make them bring in sugar at twice the price of where it may cost at the time, from one company abroad and sell it to us at that higher price, and then they get the idea, okay, well, therefore they don't have to mill the sugar in a hurry. They will continue holding out the cane farmers then. Even if the cane farmers do not bring no cane, they have sugar where they come from the other sugar place with the other milling, and then they sell it at twice the price of what it used to be before. So it's more beneficial for them to do that than to settle with the cane farmer and hurry try to resolve this thing if we make them mill in one sugar so they could turn around and sell for the lower price that they used to sell before. That price will not come down to what it used to be before. At the best, it may come down to some number in between. And instead it may come down from the one where they sell it at 160 more or less. You're telling me you got 180 or 180 or 80, right? And that are because of the one where they further away or who they post or whatever. It's just a game and a scam.
What I believe is exactly what you just said. Because for instance, they can continue to mill and export that while they keep their imported and they sell. Quite simple.
Yeah. Now, if the government is smart enough, if Mr. Prime Minister was intelligent enough, right? Because he said Belize don't have intelligence, right? Belizeans don't have intelligence, right? If him intelligent enough, he know me and gonna make that side deal with the same company where we have we over a barrel and take chance of we and with cane farmers then. He could have give Santander one temporary contract to sell some of the Santander sugar that is made in Belize. Or even if you want to bring in some, bring in some. But you don't make a contract to put the whole country over a barrel just because the company want to have some of your people over a barrel. That's stupid. You're going from bad to worse. And if you go ahead and make one side agreement with Santander on a temporary basis, BSI, ASR may get the sense and they may decide, make them resolve the thing quicker so they could continue the monopoly. Then when it's done, they're going to mess up. You want to blame the Kenyans there for not yielding and not wanting to agree to get being taken chance again. Then guys don't work for the local people and they work for the big wigs there. Every time he have an interface or interaction with any companies or any entity that has to do with big money, he take we governance power and yield it to them people, subordinate it to them. The same thing we play the first clip we will play tonight for the program. He is operating as if he have to do what foreign entities telling him to do to violate the very constitution of our country and pile up more than people than what we have in our own country. In other words, left the door open, as a matter of fact, so that he not only just did what he was doing then, but the door is now open for he do even worse because he has already set the precedent. And the Constitution, he's violating it right, left, and center. But they have no respect or regards for it, which is why they want to change it in the first place. I yield back again, sir. We got another 9 minutes to go now.
As you said, and rightfully said, as I said before, the government is the one who is creating poverty by what they are doing. Their action is creating poverty, and then we have another problem.
It's deliberate.
The cultural Belizean people is not buying Belizean, because if they were doing that, we would have been in a better position. They are fucking to the Chinese store and buying from the Chinese store more than they are supporting their own. So we are in this predicament also, because when you go to the market and you go to a stall, these Spanish descent people stick together. You can go down the line and you will hear the same price.
Same price.
Product,
yeah.
You know, with no changes. And I think that is one of the greatest problem we have.
Well, you hear Miss Christina telling people that PG.
Supporting Belizean people.
You remember Miss Christina telling people at PG, we provide the food, or at least they, the Mayans, provide the food for PG. And if PG are going to take away, or the Belizean people are going to take away for their lands or whatever, they're going to take away for their food. Means that they are starved then. So the same thing will happen to Belize City.
Well, there's only one ethnic group in Belize that has the power to do that, and you see the government stay away from them. That is the Mennonite community. Because if they cease to exist, then what will Belize become? The Mennonite community is the one actually producing
don't they come
feeding the population of Belize.
Don't they come to our market and to our cities and towns and sell for their goods? You ever figure out what would happen if any Belizean tribe go up there for their community and sell any goods up there? So do so, can't do so, to do so.
But I'm also saying that to say that I do find within the Mennonites that they do buy from Belizeans. This I can tell you. Because I've seen them on more than one occasion buying from Belizean restaurants and entities of those sites. But what I was saying is the Mennonites is a community with power that can put a closure in Belize. And we know this because when a Mennonite falls to gun violence, you see what happens when they close doors. There's hardly anything you can buy. And I would hope that, you know, Belizeans would unite and start buying from Belizeans. I turn it back to you.
Okay, and so we got 6 more minutes to go. And can you see the people that are the Facebook users then that are, so we could acknowledge a couple of few of them? Can you make them out? Let's see.
I can't make them out from.
Okay.
Here.
Let me see if I could. Give me a second. No. 3 comments. Okay, let's see 3 comments. Miss Sonia Allen said good night or good evening. And then she also made another post by saying, I do not think it would be allowed. I'm not too sure what particular comment she was referring to there in that. And then she also said, Ms. Sonia Allen also said, they keep their money at home. So thank you very much, Ms. Sonia Allen, for tuning in tonight to Belizean Affairs Show and posting, making your postings. And there's also some emojis, some likes and some loves. And Ms. Sonia Allen is watching. We just want to acknowledge and express our sense of gratitude and appreciation for those who are listening now and those who will be listening after the show at their own convenience. And we want to say thanks very much for having joined us tonight. And we wish you the best. And hopefully by Friday, when we deal with the legal matters and constitutional matters, we'll have a full complement of our crew. Mr. Roody Wade, who would be with us then, hopefully, after maybe getting a day or two of rest after, because like I said earlier, he is campaigning and was involved with the electioneering for today in the Twin City, San Ignacio, Santa Elena area. We all wish him well, and we look forward to seeing him on Friday. Looking forward to having you tuning in also on Friday for Friday night program. Greg, you want to take over the rest of the program?
Thank you, sir. With that said, I would like to say good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. And thank you for tuning in to this 112th edition of Belizean Affairs. Glad for you to tune in, and we'll be back on Friday with a little coverage of the president election too, as well as constitutional matter. With that said, good night.